Hello, good evening. How's everyone? I'm going to start this evening with the US dollar. One of the main reasons is I think that from March, really, from this high that we made in March, this has been the biggest driver, I think, of the Bitcoin rally and the weakening of the US dollar. So what the US dollar does, aside from oligarchs and companies investing in Bitcoin, and that being big news, the other, real driver is the US dollar. And so let's take a look at this technically, because I'd been looking for more upside potentially in the US dollar up here to 92.65. But where we've stopped is an ABC correction. So first off, it tells me that this dollar rally, if we continue here lower, is just a corrective move, not a new upswing. We've stopped at an ABC correction level where we've got an equal measured move. Remember, most corrections are three waves, so that means up, down, up in this case. And when they're equal, the first and the third wave, that's very often a clear sign of a correction. Well, when you break the level where it's 61.8, that's usually a confirmation level, and a good confirmation level for me. If we call this a inverted head and shoulders bottom, which it kind of looked like, it was a little bit unbalanced, but it did have that look. When head and shoulders patterns fail, they fail because they are big ABCs. So it is possible, as we back test this slightly sloping neckline, and it is a slightly sloping neckline, it is possible that this is a little false breakdown here, and we could find support and turn higher again. It's a little bit crucial, to do that as well. We need to rally kind of more than 50% of this big bearish engulfing reversal candle that we got on Friday in the dollar index, and we haven't managed to do that. In fact, that's where we found resistance today. So it's kind of this low where we are. It's really important that we kind of hold and reverse and really get back above 91. If we can't, then when you make an ABC rally, you usually retrace 78.6, and so that points to lots of nice more upside for Bitcoin, and it would line up, because they're about to do their stimulus package, aren't they, in the US? So it would line up with that. That would mean all the way back, down to 89. So let's see if we can find some support here, because there's lots to point to this having a bit more upside, counter trend anyway. We've got a bullish cross of our daily moving averages. Very often when you see that, when you get back down there, you'll have support and a bounce. And we'll see if that bounce makes a lower high, or whether we just bounce, it's a dead cat, and then we continue a little bit lower. So that's what I'm looking at in the dollar index. You're probably looking and thinking, well, that's not actually an equal measured move. When we make corrections, they're not always ABC simple like this. Sometimes you'll make an A leg and your B leg will be slightly higher, and then you'll make it slightly lower, and it's still your ABC for the B leg, and I think that's what we did here. So this is basically A, and then B, and then C leg. And so when you put your fibs on, you go from A to C. So that's why this swing and this swing are equal when you measure it in the dollar index. So that, and of course Mr. Elon Musk, have been the reason why we've seen a bit of a big move today in Bitcoin, I think. And of course that, and it's diverted everyone for all the talk about, oh my God, is this the top in ETH? Because is this the top in ETH because of ETH futures being launched? Well, last time when they launched Bitcoin futures, that was the actual high for Bitcoin, and it was the December 2017 high. I think because everybody's expecting that it's unlikely to be the high for Ethereum, and I think that we're probably going to have one more leg higher. So let's take a look first now. We've done the dollar. We'll take a look where we are in Bitcoin. I'm using Bitstamp prices basically because we have the biggest longest history, not because they have the most volume. I think if you're looking for the most accurate recent prices, my favorite is probably the Deribit chart, because they take the prices from 8 different exchanges and they weight them by volume, so that makes it more relevant. So I like, if I'm just looking at more recent price action, I think I prefer the Deribit chart for accuracy, or FTX. So here we are, we've made new highs. So this probably means, my biggest question when I look at from the March low, my biggest question here was this a big wave 4 like the wave 2 that we made, from June 2019 to the low in March 2020? Or was this just a sub wave 4, so that we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got one more wave higher before we make this bigger wave 4? And I'm starting to think, because we took so little time, that this might be this just sub wave 4. But it also might be, as we just mentioned with corrections, sometimes when you make a correction, you don't stay in the lane. So if we were going up and we were looking for a nice simple ABC and carry on, sometimes we don't do that. Sometimes we go A, and we go B, and we make a shallow, and it looks like, we've just been in an uptrend and we've made kind of those, running flat. And so potentially, because I didn't think that this was over, potentially we could see a bit of a something out like that. And a lot of people, missed out. We were lower high. We were in quite a risky zone when this happened, weren't we? And potentially we were looking at a little bit of a reversal. So it is possible when you see that. One of the clues, so when you see a move like that on a chart, if these two legs are equal, exactly equal, that's very often a clue that that was one of those kind of running corrections. So here we are. Now, as long as we close above these previous highs, which depending on your mileage are going to be at 42,000, as long as we close above 42,000, we don't really have a bit of a cloud on the sky. If we do, and we've got, look, we've got 4 hours until the close, haven't we? If we do close down back underneath 42,000, then it's potentially one of those swing failure patterns, and we might see a bigger pullback to support before we carry on higher. So yeah, that's where we are with Bitcoin. Now, I've marked the levels where I'm looking for this wave 4 to end. Very often, if this was a sub wave, if you like, wave 1 and 4 are equal, but I'm looking for cluster resistance between sort of 46, or which I shouldn't have moved that. I think between 46, between 46,400 and sort of 47,500 is where that I have a cluster of resistance. And then the next resistance after that really comes in around 54,000, 55,000. I know a lot of people are going to be talking about big round number, 50,000, but I think it'll overshoot. And you'll see a lot of lines on my chart, mainly because, let's go back to the weekly, I use these corrections to project fib levels where we might pause. And what tends to happen is if we go above them, they tend to become support. So if we were to blast through 46 and 48,000, we would likely to then be finding support there. We would then look for, when we pull back and retest that level, if it holds a support. Pretty much like we're going to look at this high and make sure that we kind of hold above it and not see a bigger correction. So that's what I'm looking at. In Bitcoin, it does look like a correction over upswing beginning. If we look at this as a wave 3, so we went, this was very choppy and overlapping. I didn't like how this started, but if we think that a wave 3 of 3 should be the strongest and kind of catch everybody by surprise a bit, then it is behaving that way, isn't it, for a wave 5? So so then we'll go 1, 2, and now we've gone 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. So we would expect 4 of 3, 5 of 3, and then a pullback back to here, and then one more leg. So, we could extend beyond that, but I think we're the path of least resistance is higher. We can keep identifying the levels and resistance and see what happens there. But at the moment, you know, the pullbacks are really shallow. So a lot of people say, what do I think about this Elon Musk thing? I'm more interested in whether he bought Doge before he was shilling it, because guys in his position, regulated by the SEC, you know, it's really, really, really bad to be shilling something on social media, you know, without disclosing that you are, you know, because he really does have influence. So, like, do I think it's great he's buying Bitcoin? It's fantastic. And he's fallen foul of the SEC rules before, you know. He said something about having investments or loans for his company when he didn't. And, you know, you have to be really very careful when you have a publicly traded company about what you say. So, and he's not always very careful. But I think it's absolutely great, you know, that he's in Bitcoin. So his caution's not his middle name though, is it? So now I should point out one more thing. You know, we are a very long way from our moving averages, and we are getting very stretched. So when that happens, sometimes it is really important, I think, to buy pullbacks when that happens. One of the main reasons is we could pull back 30% easily in Bitcoin and still be in an uptrend. And the last thing you want to do is buy something and have it pull back 30% on you. So at this point, you know, yeah, I would really like to see, I think if you're a new investor looking to get in and what, you know, you kind of need a bigger pullback, and potentially we could get that from 46,000. But, or if we have a bit of a bearish close here. Okay, so let's talk about where we are in ETH, and I've probably got the wrong chart up here. We'll have a look at ETH US dollar, because one of the when you put your fib retrace levels on, so here I've gone from high to low. Today we did actually finally manage to tag one of those target levels. So I had two target levels for new highs, and then of course we've got the big 1.618 up here. And so you kind of go level to level. Fibs are like a staircase, I think, you know, and you look to hold the one that you've broken above to say that you're kind of still going up and in an uptrend. So if we can, we've got resistance now in ETH at 1782. If we can break and hold above 1782, we're going to go a long way to 2,243. So here we are, we're a little bit toppy. I thought we had one more. If we can, if you think that trend sequences tend to be 5-wave sequences, I feel like we've just done 5 waves. And so here we can go from this last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so potentially we're setting ourselves up for a bigger 3-wave pullback in ETH US dollar at this point. And if we, you know, this was a funny wave 4 kind of wedge, wasn't it? And so potentially this is a bigger wave 5. And so potentially, I have to say, we are at a level in ETH where we could see a bigger pullback if we cannot get above 1782. So as you know, the retest is the test. But with these futures, I would be very careful at this point to see what happens on this retest and whether we can get above it or not. Because yes, I do think having, you know, that wasn't the high. We had one more push. But yeah, these new futures might start to have an effect. And if you think about it, what, you know, people say, well, why does CME futures matter? You know, we've had futures for ages at crypto exchanges. They matter because most of these institutional investors won't go to a crypto exchange, but they will do business with the CME and have accounts. So this is institutional money. If I put a weekly chart up and looked at this all the way up here and this far from the moving averages on a weekly, and at a 1272 fib extension, my first instinct would be to sell it, not buy it. Let's see. So Zubix, when is the best time to buy Bitcoin? You know it's now late, but it's never better late than sorry. Well, here's the thing, right? People like to say that when we do big pullbacks, so when we do a 5-wave sequence, like this was a 5-wave sequence here. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you tend to do a 5-wave sequence, when you pull back in your 3-wave correction, you tend to pull back to the bottom of that wave 4. So that's what we did here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the bottom of this wave 4 is where we pull back to. And so this now became a bigger wave 4. I think if we find resistance here and we sell off, that this, believe it or not, this 30,000 will be where we come back to and be major support. And I would think if we ever came back to 30,000, you should back up the track and buy as much as you have. I don't think we ever will. I think probably we would come back, you know, from here, if we reversed up here, I would think probably, you know, 35,000. Where was I looking? Yeah, 35,000, I think, probably more likely. And, you know, Bitcoin tends to move in these big round numbers, 40,000, 45,000, you know, 20,000, 25,000. So, yeah, let's see where we are. Am I saying it will drop to 35,000 in the near future? No, I'm saying that we'll probably at some point we'll at some point do a pullback, yes, and I'm saying that it could. Markets never move in straight lines, and usually the point where you don't think it can, it's never ever going to come back is when it will come back. So. As I said, if we get above 48,000, I think we'll go to 54, and then we'll be pulling back and looking at, you know, 48,000 as the level to buy. So, I think we may see a correction in the futures. Let's talk about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the bigger factor here. So I really like this Bitcoin chart. This is a monthly chart as a inverted head and shoulders bottom with a slightly sloping neckline. So here's our slightly sloping neckline. And so far we have failed to break out on the monthly. And not only that, but we have failed to get above, whenever I draw fib levels on, the 236 fib is like your first Fibonacci resistance. If you can't get above that 236 fib, so I've put my fib retraces on from this high to this low. If you can't get above that big 236, you're still really, I think, in a downtrend. And we've also got like these lows here. So here's the problem. When head and shoulders patterns fell, they usually fell because we've made a big ABC correction. And I was a little bit worried that that's what we've done here. And if we do it like this, we tag that equal measured move exactly. So we are not going to be bullish. We've hit some bearish symmetry around here. I think the level got a little bit front run, but that's where we are. Potential bearish symmetry, bearish fib, and back underneath the neckline on the monthly. I would say that if we get underneath these highs and this 61.8 level at 37,349, that is a bearish reversal. And so that's what I'm going to be watching out for with this futures stuff, with this futures launch. So 37,350. If we do that there, we will see a bigger correction, because if you make an ABC like this, then the pattern usually is a big 786 retrace. That would be quite ugly. Now that might just be, that might not mean, that's back to these lows, that might not mean that ETH is going down against the dollar. It might just mean that, you know, Bitcoin goes to the moon. That's a possibility to drive this. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at. So at the moment, this lovely potential bottoming pattern hasn't triggered. Now, if we rally, close above, this 41.55, then we have made a bottom, and I think we have got more upside. Okay, but at the moment it's not quite the breakout that we were looking for, and it looks like, you know, we almost did on the weekly, doesn't it? But you know, when you just take that bigger view and you look where we close, which is important, we really haven't, unfortunately, done it. Okay, so potential resistance here in ETH. Will ETH drag Bitcoin down because of the futures? I doubt it. I don't think so. People have asked me, you know, what about alt season? We've had alt season. It's been wild. The last few weeks have been insane crazy. You know, it's well and truly here. What the best thing about this correction in Bitcoin has been how the alts have just don't care and have taken off one at a time. So we're going to look at a few of them tonight, because a few of them that have been requested have really started to top out. So what apps can you use to buy Dogecoin? I'm going to cover Dogecoin tonight. Believe it or not, I actually think that Doge might have some more upside. As long as you know that you're just like buying something that has really kind of no real world application. There we go. Okay, so if you look at the list in the text underneath the screen, that's the order that we are going to go in tonight. So am I snowed in? Yeah, I am snowed in, and it's caused a bit of yeah, it always makes me a bit anxious. Quite a lot of snow. I was yesterday, I kept thinking, oh, we haven't got any snow, what's going on? And now we've got loads of snow. So the first chart we're going to look at is ZEC. We're going to look at it against Tether. I always have a quick peek at ZEC against Bitcoin. I don't want to buy anything that's downtrending against Bitcoin, because to be honest, I want to be on the fastest horse in the race, and I want to be in the best performer. But when I look at this ZEC Bitcoin chart and I see this really strong rally and this shallow, choppy, overlapping pullback, this makes me think that we've got another leg higher to come. And so I would look at a ZEC, Tether or dollar buy entry, and I would look for this to turn up again at the same time. So ideally, I'd want to buy this somewhere between the 50 and the 61.8, and I don't really want it to be 786, but that looks like where we're going. So ZEC Bitcoin, at the moment, it's a little bit like, oh, I think we're underperforming Bitcoin. So let's look at that. So let's look at ZEC US dollar Tether then. Because, you know, high tide floats all the boats. And one of the issues that I have here is I feel like we've done, I feel like this is just a ABC correction. Sideways, very often when you put it on, it's not a fib level, but the 50% level, the 50% is where things get stuck. That's where we've got stuck. One of the most bearish patterns that I see all the time is where we make an ABC correction back to the 50%. And if we do that here in ZEC, that's where we've stopped. So you can see on this daily, look, we can't close above this equal measured move level at 96.66. So if I was to be bullish ZEC and see, look, and I think that's setting up for another swing lower. If I wanted to see more upside then from here, I would really want to see it above 98.41 and holding above that level, not a false breakout. So if we got above it, I would want to see up and then pull back and hold it as support. If we do get a pullback here and you buy it, you get a nice long entry, that 50% level at 98.41 is going to be your target. So for me at the moment, yeah, not unless we break this resistance and this potentially bearish symmetry in ZEC US dollar Tether, I would not do that one. I think it's quite strong resistance. Okay, let's take a look at Haven. I haven't covered Haven for ages. Ta-da! Today was quite an interesting move because, so when we think we've had a big ABC correction, and I feel like we have had one here, or a triangle actually. Either way, this, if we look back, right, this 200-day moving average, this is the king of the chart. It's support or resistance. So when we look back, when we were underneath it, it was resistance. When we came back to it, it was support. When we were in an uptrend, when we came back to it in September 2020, after that nasty drop, that's where we found support. And when we were underneath it, it's resistance, resistance, resistance. Here we are, we're doing a nice little dance around it at the moment, trying to get above it and find support off it. If I mark where it is, and it would be really nice and bullish if we can hold above it. So here we've done that, I think, on the daily, and if I look at it here on the 4 hour, we're breaking back above this 200 moving average again. And so not only that, so in terms of moving averages, yeah, I think that we're getting it on, and that we should look higher from here to that sticky 50% level in the middle, and maybe this trend line. If we ignore the daily moving averages, so let's hide them all, and we look at fib retraces. So we've done this big correction. Are we going up again? Getting above this 236 fib that's holding down ETH, and holding above it, which is what we're doing, is also really bullish. As long as we hold above 12,508, I think that we're looking for 15,800 and 18,500 next in Haven Bitcoin. It's not traded against the US dollar, is it, at Bittrex, so we won't go into that. But in terms of the US dollar, with Haven outperforming Bitcoin, we can look at what it would be, and it's actually a really nice chart if we do that. If we look at Haven US dollar calculated by TradingView, I think, oh, you can do it now at KuCoin, can't you? We had this lovely resistance. Resistance becomes support. We made a nice big ABC correction here. We rallied away from it. We could call it also a bull flag. And here we are on our way up again. My next upside, I'm going to put this 1272 in, because potentially we've got a little bit of resistance here at 6.21, and above 6.21 we should go to 7.88. And against the dollar, yes, we are in a very nice uptrend in Haven with lots of upside potential. Let's go to the monthly. So I know I've put these two in, but really the 2.618 would be my next target after this 1 point. So 7.8 and then 12.7. And if we look at this on a monthly chart, this against the dollar, this is a really nice move going on. That's not, put our 200 moving average on so we can see it. We haven't got one of those yet. We're not too stretched yet in this one, is what I wanted to say. So I think Haven, if you have a KuCoin account, you can actually trade it against Tether. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is Win. I'm not sure I've got a chart for Win. Let's take a look. Wait. Oh, yeah, it's Wink, isn't it? So we're in the spiky zone in this one. Boy, oh boy. So if you think that this was a downtrend, and we make lower highs and lower lows in a downtrend, and when you reverse the uptrend, you make a higher high above this last lower high, and then a higher low, and we've reversed the trend. So the most important level then becomes taking out this high to reverse the trend, and this is where we keep getting stuck, because as soon as we do make a higher high and then a higher low, then we've done it. I suppose we could argue that this was, but yeah, it's a little bit tricky anyway. So this is major resistance, and we keep seeing profit taking here at this level at 14,310 in Wing Tether, and this is a bit of a problem. The other thing we might see is a false break above this resistance, because if we do one of those equal measured moves, of course, up to here, and we do this, we could see, if we do break higher, we could get to 17,720 and still be a little bit. That's the first place we may see some profit taking and a pullback. So we need, first off, a close above 14,316, daily close. And then we've got 17,720, and then above there, we are laughing. Let's go to the monthly. And God, I hate charts like this with a big spike, because you put retraces on and I just don't like relying on those spikes. So let's look at where the first bounce went to. Here. So I'm going to take that first bounce to the low for the fibs, like this. There we go. So now this makes it a little bit more interesting, doesn't it? Because here we are around this 236 fib. We've closed above it a couple of times before, but haven't managed to continue. So we may this time, if we're going to go, find support from 13,090. And then the 1.618 and this 50% up here would be my, gosh, big bullish target. That would be a lovely place to go. That's the first target then. But at the moment, still a little bit sticky under resistance, and not quite over the line, are we? So that's a win. Let's take a look at Theta. Now, Theta, remember how we do fibs like a staircase, and I usually take this bottom high to low. So here, or if we go all the way down, you can see that I put this corrective swing on. This is my fib, and we keep extending it. So this is how I do it. So we had a bit of a level here, 3.618, and if they're not support, they become resistance. And I look for reactions at them. The better the reactions, the more I can lean on them. And we had a really good reaction, resistance and support here. So I'm leaning on this. I also put extra ones on, and which I haven't done them all here, but I would very often do something like this and see if they line up as support and resistance. And if I did that here, the next one I was looking was 6.854. And so now, based on that, and this being kind of washy support, it's not perfect, this one, I'm going to put my next resistance zone up here, and I just keep looking for where they all line up as a cluster, usually. There's a few other ways you can do this. It gives it a little bit higher. So here's a little bit of a zone then that we are potentially coming into, and because of this neat reaction here at this one, I'm kind of leaning on this one for now, and I'm sticking with it. And so potentially, especially because of this pattern here that we did, that's very often the sign of a wave 4. And when you move out of a wave 4, the wave 5 is the final wave. And so potentially we're looking for a reversal here. And if we go down a little bit, I wouldn't say we've finished going up yet, but we're getting into a zone where I would start looking for a topping pattern. So topping pattern for me looks something like that. As soon as you see a double top, doesn't mean that you've reversed, but it means you stop going up for now, and then you wait and see if you break the low in the middle. You know, the retest is always the test. Or if you make, you know, any other kind of topping pattern, a double top is one, a triple top is a topping pattern, a head and shoulders is a topping pattern, I would be on alert once, I still think we've got another push higher to come, but I'm starting to get into kind of alert zone in Theta. It certainly wouldn't be a place where I would put a new position on, but if I had a position already, this would be the one. If I had a position already, I would be monitoring it very carefully for a reversal here at 2.67, especially with quite a few others kind of at resistance levels. So not a new position place, but looking good if you are still long. There's no reason to get out yet, but just start protecting your profits in Theta. Could keep going, and then give us a nice pullback. If we get above this level, we could look for a nice pullback long, if it makes a bit of an issue of it. So there we go. So let's look at Algorand. This is a lovely breakout today. Above, so we're going to look big picture here, because I think if we go all the way from the highs, even the big spike highs, that we've broken above the 236 fib. And I'm going to give this level some credence because it was this bounce high here. So it's also some, pretty nice, if we look at this weekly, 1, 2, 3 weeks high. So support and resistance level, and also the high last week. So I think that this is a big breakout. I also think, like how we've pushed beyond what was bearish symmetry, because our first target was this 236 fib level, because it's where we would have made a equal measured move at 8866. So I'm very happy to see this, and 0.8866 should be really strong support now in ALGO US Tether. We shouldn't go back below it if we're going to keep going higher, and we're going to climb the fibs higher from here, 1.37 and then 1.76. So yeah, for me, we've got more in the tank to come in Algorand as long as we stay above 0.8845. And ZRX. And I totally get the whole privacy coin thing, and I'm a big privacy fan. So this was a really nice move. I think we're in a wave 3, and we're doing a little bit of a wave 4 pullback. I'm going to go to the weekly to show you why. So here, if we count this as our big wave 1, and waves 1 sometimes look a little bit corrective, not bullish. Here, we've reached 1.618 of a wave 1. That's very common for a wave 3. And so from this low to this high, if this is a wave 3, then the normal kind of correction would be 38.2 of this wave 3. So if we put that on, it's going to take a little bit of time. You can see we're already underneath the 236. So, and our support is here at 1.342. Because this is really extended, we might come further than that. We might come 0.5 or 61.8. But 38.2 really is ideal support. And so that's what I think that we are doing. Yeah, that's HBAR. We'll look at HBAR. I'm a big HBAR fan. So the problem is, let's look at this on the 4-hour. I'm not sure that we've done 3 waves of correction, and wave 4s aren't over in an instant. Wave 4s are very often 5-wave triangles like this before we go again, or they're rising wedges or declining wedges, and so they take a bit of time. And if we go back to the daily and we look how long this wave 2 took, even if we say this was the bottom, which I don't think it was, I think this was a bit of a next wave, but like, let's be generous. This took, 2-3 months, so it might mean that we go sideways into April, is what I mean. So ZRX, I'm still really bullish. I think we're holding this support, but I think we've got here very quickly. We're going to do some sideways trading to consolidate our gains before we go higher again. Now, if I'm wrong about this 1.618 level, and yes, I'm very often wrong, but if I am and we break higher, so this might be like a little subwave here, and we haven't finished wave 3. So let's put this back on. So if I'm wrong about this, first off, we will get back above this 236 fib level, which has been unable to close above at 1.59. But above 1.68, we could, if this is within wave 3, look, if this is 1, 2, 3, and we're in a sub-wave 4, we could rally up to 2.5 before we do that bigger pullback and carry on higher. So it might not take so long, and if we look at it that way and say, well, if this was an irregular wave 2, we took from 9th of January to the 22nd of January, 13 days. So maybe, we're only looking at a 2-week correction at most in Theta and then another leg up, okay? The most, Mary Bryan, it wasn't easy for me trading because I've lost a lot of money and trustworthy and professional broker. A lot of these are unregulated exchanges that we're trading on. They have bots that trade against us. And most people underestimate, it's quite hard to learn a platform. These crypto exchanges are much more complicated than, for example, a foreign exchange where you can just buy and sell, with a click of the mouse. There's no, big long addresses and waiting and two-factor authentication, and don't underestimate, it's how easy it is to make a mistake on these exchanges, and how difficult it adds to the difficulty factor until you kind of learn your way around them. I have to say that I really do like the FTX exchange, and it didn't go down today when Bitcoin pumped. If your exchange went down. Aqua says Tesla didn't buy Bitcoin today, they bought it back in January. Don't believe the news. Okay, well, it's what? It's the 8th of February. JR88 says you have a better chance of being a pro athlete. He's right, day trading is really difficult. It is much better to be a longer term investor and try and buy dips and learn to recognize the patterns when a market has stopped going up, or have a system for taking profits. Investing is fine, but you know what? Investing, you need to invest when nobody's talking about it. You need to invest on pullbacks when everybody says the world is going to end. And you really do need, okay, I will be careful, thank you. And so I'm just going to take 1 second and have a drink, okay? And I'm going to come back. 1 second. Okay, scammer. Okay, Mary Bryant. Yeah, go and sell your stuff somewhere else. 1 second. Okay, so I think eToro is a really nice, easy to use exchange that's very good for new traders because you can copy other traders and learn. I think that's a really nice kind of social exchange. I really like FTX as well. So Yeah, those are mine. Favorites. All right. I'm not shilling any brokers. I'm not paid by any brokers. I've never, ever been sponsored by any broker. I don't even get free trading for you. Look at this. And I use their charts every week. You'd think, wouldn't you? So the psychology on buying dips is very hard. Very hard. Let's go back to Bitcoin though. Let's talk about this. Like, this daily is not a very good example. But in this bullish run that we had since Christmas, like moving averages have been shown to be the most effective trend following system that there is. If we look how every time since we got above this 20 moving average, every time Bitcoin pulled back to it, it bounced. You know, if you have something like that, the 200 moving average really is the king of the chart. Look at this weekly 200 moving average on Bitcoin. So let's go back to here when it first appeared on our chart back in August 2015. We pulled back to the 200 weekly moving average and bounced. If we had bought it here, we would have bought it around, gosh, 250. Even if we got a shit entry, it would have been 250. And next time we came back to it, look, we would have held it all the way until we got a reversal. And then look how this weekly 200 moving average was support here in 2018, double tagged it, and again here in March 2020. Now, we don't want to come back to the weekly 200 moving average at the moment. It's down there at 8,000. But in order for that to catch up, you know, because all the time we're above it, it's moving higher quite quickly. But, you know, we could end up doing some sideways while this catches up as well. But if it ever came back there, bye. Anyway. Yeah, so I've got completely out of order and I've missed what I'm talking about. So I'm talking about ZRX. So ZRX, if we can get back above 1.68, we could see another leg higher all the way to 2.53 if this is just a short-term correction. Okay? How many coins do you suggest a good amount to trade? Well, this is the other thing, right? If you're day trading, I don't think you can, you know, I don't think you can manage more than 4 markets if you're day trading. Like, even if you're just trading the hourly chart, really, do you want more than 4 trades on? Whereas if you have a daily chart, daily portfolio, and you check it once a day, and you wait for those daily closes, you can manage many more, you know. You could have a portfolio of, you know, 12 or 20, because they're easy to manage because you're looking at the daily chart. But the shorter term trading, the less time you have to monitor for other setups, and the less time, you know, and the more time you have to sit watching it, really. I think Bitcoin is like your gold standard kind of. You always need some though, don't you? So, right, let's press on because I'm going to be here all night otherwise. I think, here's the thing, I think that yes, there are a few. When we get to them, I'll talk about them. This altcoin, this alt rally has gone on for a while. At some point, I think soon, we're probably going to have a correction. And it'll hurt, but we'll survive it, and it'll be a buying opportunity. This one, like Algorand, this move here, if we can hold above this 236 fib, this Algorand is a spectacular opportunity. We're not that far from this 20 moving average. Like, if we hold above this, then this is one that really hasn't kind of gone to the moon. Do I think we'll have a Chinese New Year dump? You know, those holidays are always a bit of a risk. I think we might have a bit of a pullback in ETH. And that could hurt a lot of these altcoins, to be honest. But this algo looks pretty nice. Let's move on to the next one, though. We've done ZRX. DigiByte, that's right. I was looking for DigiByte. Oh, look, it's right in front of me. I'm being an idiot. So the problem with previous highs and lows are always a bit of a problem when you have a move because of profit taking. So although for my money, if we look at the weekly chart in DigiByte, we've reversed from a really nice 786 fib level. We're only reverse the downtrend if we get above the 61.8, because remember, fibs are like a staircase. So we've got lots of resistance until we get there, and we've only confirmed our bullish reversal above 131. So DigiByte Bitcoin has got a lot of, it's going to keep banging its head on this previous high for one, this 20 moving average on the weekly, and 131. But above 131, we should see a big move upside, and my first target would be 202, and my second target would be 246. So that's what I'm looking at. So though it looks like we've been knocked back, I am still quite bullish. I think we'll come back and test support. We've got a bullish cross of these daily moving averages. The problem is that, it's just, we're not out of our sideways range really until we break this high. And that means that we could see a bigger pullback and a bigger bottoming pattern in DigiByte against Bitcoin until it happens. Especially if we see some Bitcoin strength, we could see something like this. Now, that's against Bitcoin. So it does look like it's making a bit of a bottom or having a go. And big green candle today. So I would say if you get a nice setup DigiByte dollar, it's a go. Let's see. Let's look at DigiByte Tether then. So DigiByte Tether, a very spiky day, but a lovely big move to new highs on this week today. Huge move really. So now these previous highs are going to be where we're wrong. If we go back below, it will be a false breakout. So I think it's looking good. Let's put some fib projections on for some targets. We'll go all the way down to this low. So we tagged our 1.618. So if we're gonna, this first place that we could find some support then is this 1272, isn't it? And if we lose this 1272, we'll do a bigger correction all the way back to these highs. So if we can hold this 1272, we'll look for this 1.618 to be retested. And then the next outside target is the 2.618 at 0.07141. So looking very good. Let's look on the lower time frames then, what happens here. So far this 1272 pullback level is held. Here's the problem though. We've got 5 waves up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're probably looking for a 3-wave correction in DigiByte. So that means 1, 2, 3, something like that would be good. But it might be, if this is wave 2 or something, it might be in this position, that we see a wedge or a triangle or as well. So be open to that. So we're not quite ready to go up again yet in DigiByte, let's put it that way. But holding good support. So not a good place if you're not yet a good place to buy if you are looking for a new entry. But if you've got some, hold on for the ride. This isn't a bearish reversal yet. Okay, Reef. So everybody in my group's been waiting for Reef to break out today. Hasn't really done us any favours, Reef, today, has it? Let's see, maybe it's done something while I've been talking. Here it is. So on the short term, here we've got these highs, haven't we? Comes from here, really. This is where we've been looking at. Let's look at it on with regular candles. So we've been going back and forward at this 61.8 level. What I like about how we back tested these previous highs in this 50%. So this was pretty good support. So really we're just looking for when is Reef ready to launch higher. I think with this big bullish candle that we're almost there, but we haven't quite made a new high, have we? So we haven't quite broken out of our sideways range. So this is what we've all been watching for the next leg up in Reef. Because this looks like a nice three-wave correction, doesn't it? So yeah, we're just waiting for new highs and then 0.03479. Very nice uptrend going on in Reef, US dollar. And yeah, no reason why this one shouldn't keep going, really. It's quite new. We don't have a daily 50 moving average, but it's riding this 20 moving average very nicely, isn't it? So 0.034, and then now this is one you're going, why have I got my high here? If we go to the 4 hour where this launched, because this is such a big spike, I put my high on this spike, high to low. So watching for a breakout in Reef. Hope we don't do another trip to the bottom, but unless we break out, you know, that's the risk, isn't it? So basic attention token. Here's another one waiting to break out. Look. That's my dog snoring, by the way, not me. I'm actually really bullish basic attention token here. And let's go to the weekly. We'll talk about why. And so we'll take those pullback fibs off. So if I measure from this low to this high, so this is our big first swing A leg, and I project it from here, I would normally expect this second leg, even if it's just a bearish ABC, to be either 61.8 for the first leg or equal. So that's where my two pink targets come from. And it looks like we've gone beyond this 61.8 level. So pretty happy about that. I'm going to put this bigger swing fibs in here as well, because this 786 fib sometimes is a bit tricky. And so we could say, well, from this high to low, this, you know, when you make a big ABC, your 786 is your first target. So we've also today got above this 786 fib. So there's lots to like about this. And so 0.4078 now becomes where my support is. Hopefully. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Miral, thank you very much. Right, so anyway, let's put this in. So here's our support zone in basic attention token. And so for me, you know, wherever you can buy and you're quite close to where you know you're wrong, I would like to see this, ideally I would like to see this retested to be sure, with a little inside day and maybe a pullback. But yeah, I think we've got nice more upside to come in basic attention token. And my big target's up there at 0.61. So we're going to buy pullbacks. So that's a nice 50%, you know, return on that one. It's just a matter of making sure it holds, isn't it? So far, like, look, here we are just kind of holding above it already, aren't we? Here was resistance, now it's support. This is where we're wrong. So basic attention token, I'm going to say I love it. And this is quite an OG coin. That was Maximilian snoozing. He's really noisy, isn't he? I love him so much. Honestly, what a lovely dog. I feel so lucky. Okay, let's move on. ADA, because I'm going to be here all night and take all your time. ADA. Ta-da! We're going to donate to the daily. So we talked about these fib levels, didn't we? 1.618, 2.618. So here in ADA, we're absolutely smashing through them. For my money, we're above this 1.618. You might have a little bit of a wobble at the 2.24, but really my next target for ADA is all the way up here at 0.988. So ADA to $1. Okay, now if we go on this daily, it doesn't really look like we've found support at this level. When we look at it on a 4 hour, this is what I mean by a back test. Pull back, found support, carried on higher. So I believe ADA, I agree with you, I do think ADA is a long-term hold, but it's overbought right now. Now, I'd like to see it go quite a nice way beyond this support level. And potentially, the next fib resistance comes in at 0.759. So if I didn't have any ADA, I would be looking for us to find some resistance at 0.759 and then do a nice pullback to this level again, 61.79. That would be, for me, a good trendy look. And by the time we've done that, hopefully our 20 moving average has caught up, especially if we take a little bit of time with this. So we get up here sharply and then we do a really slow correction. That would be a really good look, I think, for ADA. But for now, no reason to sell it. I think it can squeeze a little bit higher, unless you've got some kind of reversal signal. So a double top, which it almost threatened a little bit earlier, of course hasn't, would be a reversal signal or something like that. So yeah, ADA got a little bit further, 0.7593. Okay, ALGO. I love ALGO. What a beautiful chart that is. It's a great setup. Okay, XLM. So, little bit of resistance in XLM here. Mainly, let's go to the weekly, XLM US dollar tether. So when we put our fib projections on from this high to low, this 1.13, it's really like the opposite of the 886, isn't it? This is our resistance that we're stuck at the moment. Can't close above it. Haven't got to the 1270 yet. So if we can close above 0.39499, our next upside is 0.441. That's the weekly view. Daily view, haven't been able to close above this level. So we're looking a little bit double toppy, aren't we? This was a swing failure pattern, and this is a swing failure pattern, isn't it? Until we close above this previous high. And why is that a problem? Because we're at risk that this is a bigger, A, B, C if we can't do that. So LINA's crazy. LINA's gone, honestly. If you're not in LINA, you haven't got some. You really kind of want to look for the next LINA, but not LINA. So this has been a disappointment because we've been in a correction really since the big rally at the start of the year. But this, looks like very much like the Bitcoin chart to me. So big rally at the start of January, pullback, recovery, haven't quite made a new high yet, but I think I really just need to see it over the line on that high. To be sure that this is a new upswing and not just a bigger correction, more sideways. So hold on, no reason to get out. Let's just see if we can get over the line here. So then our targets are 0.441 and then up here 0.5543. Litecoin. Litecoin's been pretty good because it usually leads Bitcoin. Quite often it leads Bitcoin. Not anymore though. So here's another one on the weekly. Nice pullback. Resuming the uptrend. I'm a little bit concerned with Litecoin. Is for this one, this could be the big wave 4 finish. So we've gone 1, 2. It's just finding this 3, 4, 5. Is this wave 4 over? We don't know until we make a new high. And if we go back to our retrace fibs Let's see where we're at and if that helps us, because I always lean on them the most, to be honest, if in doubt. So it's a little bit messy down here, but I'm not even sure that we're looking at the same things. This is definitely a support and resistance level that we've tagged at 184. And potentially, have we done a big ABC, you know, where this second swing is 1272 of the first one? Potentially we have. And potentially this is resistance. So now when we do this, we say, okay, here's our big resistance here. And here's really our kind of next resistance at 223. So if we can get above 182, our next upside is 223. Yeah. I also think if this is like A, B, C, and we're going here, if we put the fibs on this way, we can say, oh look, 61.8, 38.2. The problem is I hate taking these random highs, and you know, I much prefer to go with this. So I'm going to stick with this and say 181 and then 223 are what I'm looking for next, if we can get above there in Litecoin. This isn't my... It's definitely lagging Bitcoin. It's not my favorite setup. Potentially this is... we've still got another leg lower. If we look at it like this, but I would say don't touch it. If we look at it, this is A, and now we're doing a B, and we still need a C. And see how this is just one big straight line? Now potentially this was A, B, C, and now we're on our way up again. If this is 61.8 of this, so measure. It is exactly. But we need to get going now if that's the case. We need to start having some kind of impulsive moves. So yeah, I think it's worth holding a little until we get a reversal. There's potential here that this is a Gartley pattern at this 786, so that would be here, 170 short term. So if you're looking for, if this is just a correction, watch out at 170. If we reverse there, we might see another leg lower. And that also 170, the best Gartley patterns are when they are ABC equal measured moves, and that's there as well, 171. So that's where your major resistance is. I think if we get above 172, we'll fly, but that's sticky in Litecoin. Probably not my first choice. Let's take a look at Alpha. I don't think I've got a chart for Alpha. I'll find out quickly. No. Never mind. Let's look at Alpha Bitcoin. Because the question is, has it been going up against Bitcoin? Yeah, it has. Although we're in a little bit of a correction here. And this is one. So we'd probably say this is 1, 2. You can count 5, so 3. And we're in a nice big wave 4, which has got a little bit irregular. So, you know, we've talked about that, you know, where you'll make a new high. And that's probably what we're looking at here. So this is our wave 3. We'll go from low to high. You could go to here and say, where's the 38.2? Because that's from our B leg. So we'll mark that level. 45.98. Maybe more people are looking at it that way, and we seem to be holding this 38.2. So I'd say don't freak out if we go a little bit lower, down to 4,500, but I would be looking for this to turn up soon in Alpha Bitcoin and next leg higher. It's all almost reset. This is back. This is the 40 moving average. This is the daily 20 moving average. Remember, we talked about when you're in a strong uptrend, the 20 moving average is where you come back to. So I'd be looking on lower time frames to see if we can start flipping the moving averages bullish again. So by that I mean go down to a time frame. We haven't even done it yet on the 15-minute, but this is looking like quite good support, isn't it? Just don't be surprised if we go one more lower to 4,500. Okay, I've done Reef oxygen. You're going to have to rewind. We're going in order, the text under the chart. Okay, so Alpha Bitcoin at a really good level, no price action to buy it yet. Watching to see if we can turn up from here. And if we're wrong, obviously, stay out and wait until you get it, because, you know, we will set up a bigger correction if that happens. So, you know, you really kind of want to see signs that we're going up again. I have to tell you, I love high Kanashi candles. If you just look at this, so simple, and if you just wait till they go green, because it's like a moving average on your candlestick. If you just wait till it goes green again after a correction, especially on the daily or the 4 hour, they're usually really reliable turns. If you don't know anything about candlesticks. If you look here, these are your type of candlesticks called high Kanashi. Okay, next one we're going to look at, that was Alpha, is Kava. I don't know if I have a chart for Kava either. No. So I'm going to save this chart and we'll look at Kava. So let's look at Kava Bitcoin. This is a very nice bottoming pattern here, isn't it? Bullish cross of our moving averages, found support from our moving averages, and we're moving higher again. So first place we're going to hit trouble from this big high is the 236 fib. So that should be our first target. That's up here. Now at 1376, but whilst we're in the range of this most recent swing lower, we're going to put our fibs on this most recent swing lower. So now we can say, right, we're climbing the staircase. We'll put regular candlesticks on. In Kava, this is a 61.8. Remember, if it's like a staircase. So if you stop at a 61.8, then your support is the 50%. If the 50% breaks, you'll come back to the 38.2, and this is the golden ratio zone, it's known as. Between the 61.8 and 38.2, you can go back and forward a bit, and then you go higher. So we're either going to go higher from this 7,800 level here, or we're going to go higher from this lower support level and retest down here. Not sure which is going to be. Really, we've got kind of 4 days sideways. But you know what? We're going sideways with Bitcoin while it's in a massive rally. So I would expect the Kava US dollar chart to look epic. Can you trade it against Tether? Yes, you can. And it does look epic. So again, now here. So first of all, we can say, well, we'll do our retrace levels like this. What do these patterns tell us? Well, these patterns tell us that we've bounced from a 786 target level. So our first target is the 38.2, and we've got here. And our second target, if we go beyond this, would be this 236 fib level. I'm going to go with the higher one because if this is just a big correction, we'll go 8, you know. Anyway. So we know if we get above 3.51, we're going to go to 4.28. So this is our resistance. Looks like on the hourly, we might be just creeping above it. It's not clear yet though, is it? We could end up this being a little bit of a false trip and closing back underneath it again. So, and stuck in this sideways range a little bit more. But Kava, if we can hold above 3.51, look for 4.28. This is Kava US dollar at Binance. Okay. So that's the fibs going that way. Now, let's put them on this way, see if they agree. Because if they don't, then we've got an alternate. Yeah, I think we go higher. And this was a breakout. It's a little bit of an annoying swing failure pattern potential. But no, I think more upside, and the trend continues for Kava. So be a little bit careful. Like say this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we've gone A, B, C, and now we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're in the fifth wave. So we need to be a little bit careful, you know, at some point, especially when I look at all these clustered lows here and where this 61.8 is. This makes me, you know, think that this is going to be a little bit of tough level at 3.84. But doesn't mean we won't get through it, just means we might get bumpy. I'm still going with that bigger 236 retest, I think. Okay, leave that there. So I'm just having a bit of a shuffle around. Yeah, 4.28. So 2 outside resistance levels to watch out for. Basically sort of 3.84 and 4.28. Kava has got more upside, but it's in, I feel like, the bigger, yeah, could find some resistance soon, but still more upside to come. So Lend, so I was asked to look at Lend both ways. So we'll start with Lend Bitcoin. Is Lend outperforming Bitcoin? Lend is outperforming pretty much everything on the chart, isn't it? However, when I do some projections for this, we've reached a little bit of a sticky level. Let's see where we're at. And put on some fibs now. Just going to do one more thing. Okay. So if I put these on, this first correction here, and just let me make sure that I've drawn it right. That noise is, that's my phone telling me to go to bed. I never go to bed when my phone tells me to. Okay, so if we do this projection from this big high to low, you can see we did a perfect 2.618 before we made our big correction. Nice big 5 waves up. Nice big correction. Here's our next swing, and here's this major resistance. So we've got the 4.236, which for me is a biggie. Okay, I'm just going to put these on the other side so we can see them. And it's also, we have reached from here 4.236 as well. So I feel like this is a level where we are going to see a bit of a bigger correction that's going to last more than a few days. Now, if we look at candlesticks and say, where might that bring us back to? Because this is a weekly chart. First off, I think this is a wave 3, so this is not the top. This is just a wave 4 that we're going to make in Lend. But it might be a little bit painful. So if this is our big wave 3 from this low, 38.2, painful if you bought recently anyway. So let's put these on. We'll change our color because from this swing, we've already broken this 236. So we're looking for 96, 97 more and potentially back to this, what might be a wave 4. Let's look at it on the daily. Back to these lows would be 50% back. So I feel like there's more downside to come in Lend Bitcoin. Now that doesn't mean that your Lend dollar is going to be smashed. It just means that Bitcoin is really, really outperforming Lend, that's all. So we'll look at Lend dollar in a minute. I'm going to go with 38.2. I think 9,700 is where the support is for Lend Bitcoin. So a little bit further to fall. We'll probably say hi to the 20 moving average when we get here as well. So Lend Bitcoin, further to fall. Lend dollar though, this doesn't mean that Lend Tether necessarily is going down, because clearly it's not now. So as you know, I draw fib levels from projections, and I've done a lot of them. And what I take each swing, and so that gives us kind of clusters of support levels. So basically, we've got a cluster of support level around 392.93, which we pull back and tested for support and have bounced from very nicely. So as long as we keep going, continuing higher, my next cluster for Lend Tether is 600 to 630, and that's where I think we go. Now, as you know, corrections are sometimes 3 waves, and it may be, I think we've done 3 waves. So if we see a shallow pullback here and continue higher, that would be good. No, I wouldn't want to see this more than 50% back, but until we make a new high, we're still potentially in this sideways correction zone. So I think 40, yeah, Bitcoin's going for it. Let's take a quick peek. Sometimes, you know, the money in crypto is a bit like bath water. There's only so much of it and it sloshes around. So if it all goes to one end of the bath and Bitcoin is going up, it's not very good for all of the other coins. So, and as Bitcoin has had a pullback, as you know, we've had a really nice move in alts. I still really think 46, 48 will be where we stop. We're not going to stop going up until we get there. So trying to sell it before then, I think is, yeah, not smart really. Okay. So let's go back and finish up Lend and then move on. Now, so if we hide everything else. So this swing, how do we know that we are in a bigger correction? Because we've already pulled back more than the 236 fib, like this. That's the first sign. So I'm going to look for 50% back next. And that's at 461.75. Another way we could say, if we do that harmonic pattern or 886 retrace here, so we take this swing high to low, we reversed at an 886. When you drop underneath the 786, which we did, your target's 50, so we've got another swing lower. That again gives us 467. So further to fall for Lend, but I still think a sideways correction and a buy dip. And as long as we stay above, 400, this is a big sideways consolidation. Okay, just painful if you bought it lately. I made a joke today I made a joke this morning about 1 inch should be 12 inch. Because this chart is so bullish. So for this one, we put our fib from this high to low. We reached our 1.618 and got above it. And when you get above it, remember it's like a staircase. So we found support from this 1.618, and I'm looking for 1 inch tether to continue higher to 2.618 extension, which is at 6.86. So more upside to come. The problem is, from this new high, Does this look like a big ABC correction? It doesn't to me. It just looks like one straight drop, doesn't it? So there is the risk that we make a lower high and we do another leg before we go again in 1 inch. So how do you get around that? Well, do you see how these I'm using high Kanashi candles. I'm going to put all my moving averages back on. Okay. In an uptrend, your goal, when it's going sideways, that's a different story. But when we're in an uptrend, which we really are now, your goal is to buy as soon as you can after it's gone from red to green. Because once we've gone this far up green, we're at risk we're going to see another red candle, aren't we? And we're also at that kind of sticky 51.8, 61 in place. So at this point, you don't really want to buy it. What you really want to see is some few red candles and then go green again. And then you're going, yeah, okay, now I know we're going up again. Easier probably to see on the hourly. And looky here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up now on this hourly. So we're at risk of a 1, 2, 3 back before we go again. So buy dips, buy pullbacks. Don't buy when it's green for ages. Bigger time frames like 4 hour and daily are better. But I am looking for 1 inch to consolidate and continue higher. And we should not go back below 4.53. Okay? Next one is UTK. I don't think I have a chart for this one. I'm pretty sure I don't. So UTK. Look at UTK Bitcoin, because we look like we're making pretty nice base against Bitcoin. Lovely bullish cross of the daily moving averages. Everything looks great. The problem here would be if this was just an equal measured move from the low. If we measure low to high, that's exactly what it is. So if we break this 61.8 level that we're really just perched on, we're going to see a bigger correction down to this low. That wouldn't be good. So we really need to hold and turn higher from where we are now against Bitcoin. Otherwise, we're going to see a bigger pullback to probably that 786 thing from this low to high here, 462. So that was Tigger, that was Gunnar licking his ball. Okay. So if we break 687, we're going to go down to 462. Let's be a little bit careful here and see if we can turn up. I like how we've got, you know, tails on the top and bottom of this candle. If I look at the hourly, so, you know, it's really just a sideways range until we break the lows, isn't it? So remember, this is about Bitcoin, and this could just all be because of Bitcoin. So if we look at UTK, it just means that Bitcoin is going to outperform for a little bit. So let's look at UTK Tether. So a little bit of resistance here. Did we reach that 113 fib level? Let's see. I think we did, yeah. So that's our resistance, 0.3172. I do like how we've reacted to these fib levels though. Pretty good. So I'll take them away. We'll look for 1272 if we break higher, and then 1.618 next. So a close above 3172 gets us to 3468 and 4192. But we're stuck at this level. And you know, this little temporary short-term double top says we might not make it out tonight, but I'm going to stick with high Kanashi so I don't get knocked out by one red candle, and we'll wait and see. So above 3172, look for 3473. Waiting for a breakout, aren't we, in UTK? That would help. LIT. Let's save this, look at LIT. We're going to look at LIT Bitcoin. Yeah, don't really like this, unfortunately. Let's put proper candles on. So let's go here. And we'll look at our pullback levels. So if we want to know, should we rely on this 38.2 fib? What did we do when we first hit the 236 fib? We had a pretty nice bounce. So if we buy at this 38.2, we might have a pretty nice bounce. That means that we don't have a losing trade. But I think LIT Bitcoin has a little bit further to fall to 15,548 and potentially 12,700, 12,720. So not outperforming Bitcoin. So it better be a good, I want to see a really good setup against the Tether if I was going to buy it. So, and this is really a sideways range. So first off, we've got a double top here. Okay, so when you break the lows in the middle of your double top, then you've got your bearish reversal, which we haven't done. In fact, we got a little bit further to fall to the bottom of this range. So if we break this low here, I'm not sure this is horizontal, hold on, here we go. If we break the low at 6.65, we'll see a bigger drop, but otherwise we're consolidating sideways in a sideways range. You very often see this in a new coin, and you very often see it at the 50% point. So I bet if I put this on high to low, oh look, there's that 50% point. So if we break this low, we'll probably come 50% back from the low here, which would mean down to here at 4.95. Because markets that mean revert tend to kind of keep mean reverting, as in revert to mean, as in the 50%, you know. So 4.95 would be if this breaks where we come back down to. So I would say neutral. I'm leaning a little bit bearish. These hourly moving averages have got a bearish cross. Unless we can get back above them, I think the path of least resistance is lower in the short term for LIT. Short term, buy dips though. This would be a gift if you like this coin. I'm afraid I don't know anything about the fundamentals. So, okay. Unfi, I think I had Unfi. Okay, so that LINA just hit a target level. So I'd be a little bit careful. You can't buy it now. Unfi, here's Unfi now. And let's take that off and look at a daily chart. Regular candles. Today's a little doji inside day. So this isn't looking terrible. In fact, I like how we're holding these new highs. The problem is we got knocked back at this 61.8. So we're in between the two, aren't we? This is resistance that we need to tackle if we're going to make progress to the next swing. And here's our support at this 1272, 1803. Held it pretty nicely. Let's see how we're looking on lower time frames, like a 4 hour. See how it's resistance here. Now, if we are going to go higher, this should be support, but we're a little bit sideways. So let's do this. Now, how do we know if this is going to be a new uptrend or not, or is this just going to be an ABC correction, because to me this looks like one swing. And so we've gone A, now we're going to do B, and then we're going to do C before we go up again. So I don't think Unfi is ready. And one of the simple ways that you know if your rally is just like an ABC correction, which is not quite equal, but it's got that look. Let's see, sometimes a 50%, 61, it's struggling, isn't it? So I would say Neo broke out. I can't believe after all this time, Neo broke out. So I'm thinking maybe we squeak a little bit higher, but I'm still looking for one more push lower before we go up again. Jordan Underwood said, literally been waiting for the last 2 weeks for the right time to buy back Bitcoin. I know, and I know, and I do know how you feel, but there are other coins setting up to move higher. There are, and we will get a bigger pullback. Sarah Beecher, thank you very much. Okay, so where am I? Ant. Let's go look at some more. Let's look at Ant. When I look at this Bitcoin chart, Ant against Bitcoin, because there's always that, am I better? Do I want to be an Ant or am I better off in Bitcoin? This has made an ABC and it's broken this 61.8. So I think this is going to do a big 786 retrace, so let me see if I've done this right, which is going to bring us back to 786, 1,000. So first swing of correction, and I am wrong, and we are going up again above 1,400. So that's where you would be bullish, back above 1,400. Okay, otherwise you're going to wait for 1,000. That's where we're going to pull back to. So those are the parameters for Ant Bitcoin. Now let's take a peek at Ant Dollar. So if we think that Ant Bitcoin is a little bit toppy, let's see where we've stopped here. So rather than this spike, I'm going to use this high to this low. And we're looking to make sure it's not something like the 50%. Oh, nearly. Okay. Make sure I've got this on right. Ooh, so when you do a 50% one way, you're kind of usually looking for 50% back. Is that where we've got to? Ooh, exactly. So we're doing that 50%, 50%. So this low was 50% back. So this is when you get into tighter and tighter things. So now, from this rally high to low, we'd be looking to go beyond 50% to say that we've broken the pattern. So that would be 6,700. But what tends to happen in reality is we're going to do a bit of consolidating. So good news is 50% retraces are a sign of corrections. Doesn't mean a top. This is our first swing lower. Let's make sure we need 3 waves before we can go up again. Potentially we've done that here. But it's not clear, is it? I'd much rather see, 3 waves that look really obvious before we go up again in Ant. But if we push past that 50%, maybe it just keeps going. So let's go back to the daily and put our fibs on. Because if we break that high, which I can't draw quite right, 61.8, 7.7 and so on, we'll climb the staircase that way. Just be a little bit careful. It's just let's try this again. Just remember, equal measured moves are signs of corrections. And yeah, I think that Ant needs a bigger correction before we can buy it again. So a bit more sideways, not quite ready. It's not a clear buy setup for me, let's put it that way. Middle East His Stick Farm said, Nick, am I more interested in trading US dollar pairs over Bitcoin? No. Okay, if Bitcoin is moving higher, then I'm happy to trade Bitcoin pairs, right? Because I don't mind stopping out of whatever I'm trading back into Bitcoin if Bitcoin is in an uptrend. Okay? So no, I would say no, I trade Bitcoin pairs when Bitcoin's in an uptrend. Okay? I want to make sure though, a lot of people now trade against Tether, and I want to make sure that they're buying something that's outperforming Bitcoin and outperforming ETH, because the whole game, you know, is being on the fastest horse in the race. And if it's not really outperforming Bitcoin, you may as well be in Bitcoin. So yeah, so for me, you know, it's all about when I buy something, where am I going to put my stop? Because if it doesn't work, what do I want to be in? Do I want to be in Bitcoin, or do I want to be in Tether? And sometimes, you know, Bitcoin is so volatile, and whilst we've been in this January correction, I've really preferred to be going back into Tether and then looking for another alt that's going to go. Now that we're in Bitcoin and trending higher, I think I'd probably rather stop out into Bitcoin. Wouldn't you? So those are the conversations that I have with myself when I'm deciding what to do. Okay, let's look at a couple more because I've nearly finished. LINA. Is LINA going up against Bitcoin? Yeah, it is. A little bit of a risk here, I think, but I actually think this one might have one more leg higher. Right when I think it's done, I think it might have another leg in it. Now, here's what I mean about these fib projections. Okay, let's clean up my chart a little bit, because actually that stopped at 1272, didn't it? So we'll do that. So you can see I've put my fibs on from high to low. 1272, nice pullback. This 2.618, nice pullback. This 4.236 we got above it, and it was support. Now this 6.854. I like, if we're going to top at a level, I like to see it retested. You can see this was retested, and a spike high like this, I would be looking for this to retest to see if we go higher or not, and I would be staying engaged as long as we stay above this 4.217470. The problem is that this has been quite a sharp sell-off in a straight line, hasn't it really? Potentially this was ABC, so I'd like to see if we can hold the lows on a retest. I would say this is a good level to buy against. If we don't, and we lose this hourly 200 moving average, we are going to see a much bigger drop, because this has been quite fierce. So remember, corrections are three ways, going both ways here. So if we've gone A, B, C down, we've gone A up, we need to see another one before we go down again, don't we? So don't, you know, watch out. Still waiting to get okay. So that's that one. Watch for the support to hold at 17,000. Otherwise, get out of LINA. I think potentially we might have further to fall. WNXM. Okay. Let's look at it against Bitcoin. This is a very tricky zone, isn't it? These highs around here. This is where we've got stuck. A very tricky zone. It would be very nice if we found support and made a big inverted head and shoulders pattern here. But you never know. Let's see where that 236 fib was. All-time highs to lows. Oh, we're not there yet. That's quite good to see. Let's look at our fibs from here. From this. Okay, and then this thing here. So, we're in a sticky price zone, aren't we, here, really? These highs and these lows are a sticky price zone. Our moving averages, although we've got this lovely bullish cross, have flattened out, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. And so now in WNXM against Bitcoin, we should expect a 3-wave correction. So we're going to put our fibs on from this low to this high. Here we are at the 50%. If we win a rally, this would be a really good place to do it from. If we don't, though, because we've lost that daily 20 moving average, I think it's possible that we continue one more swing lower and say high to 61.8 and this daily 50 moving average. That's our backstop, if you like, because here we held this 20 moving average and this time we've lost it. So potentially we can turn up higher from here in WNXM against Bitcoin. Let's wait and see if it holds. So we're just about to retest it down here on the hourly, aren't we? So potential support here at 1202. Otherwise, we're going to drop to 10,050 next in WNXM Bitcoin. Now, let's see if we can trade this one against the dollar. I tend to not do analysis if it's not. Most exchanges now offer them against everything, don't they? So we'll put regular candles on. We're going to do big all-time highs to lows, because these patterns tell us a lot, I think. Okay, so I feel like by reversing at this 786 and this close, I feel like we've done the A leg and now we've got a B leg and a C leg. So again, I'm not terribly, so we go 1, 2, 3, and our target is this 38.2, 39.257. When you reverse it to 786, your target is the 38.2. So this is where we're looking for. Let's see, that's really our ideal support. 39.257. So let's look at this on a 4-hour. Yeah, so we've got 1, 2, 3. Now, I might have counted this wrong. This might not, if we look at it on a weekly, it might not look like a close underneath this 61.8 level. And so with this bounce here, I don't think it's crazy dumb, because we're in an uptrend, to buy it and wait for that retest of the highs or lower high, because it might keep going. So if I was, and this is clearly an uptrend and we are above our daily moving averages, just because I think we're going to do a big correction doesn't mean we will. So if you're already long, I would say move your stop up to this swing low and look for it to keep going. And if you think that, if you like this one and you think this has been enough of a pullback, I don't think it's mad to have a go. See this 61.8 level though, that's a bit of resistance and support here. I'd really like it above that. So if I was looking to get in on this one, let's here. If I was looking to get in on this one, let's see if we can get above it on the 15-minute and find support. See how it's, look, if you see this 15-minute, support, 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 and resistance, resistance. Well, if it's going to go up and not be a false breakout, I want to see it go up, find this as support, and so I would buy that and have a go. Let's see then. But at the moment, yeah, it's a little bit stuck here, isn't it? So then ride it, and then move each time you have a pullback and it carries on up again, move your stop under that swing low. See what happens when we retest the highs at 65, and see if we can keep going, because we might very well just keep going and I'm wrong. So good luck. WNXM and DOT. Haven't looked at DOT for ages, have we? Not since last week, and every week. Ta-da! Breakout. So these consolidations, we've been waiting for this for our flag breakout all weekend in our group. We were thinking that we were going to turn up higher here, and it didn't. We did one more dip. What I like is how we've pulled back to support, and we're still trending very nicely. So let's go to the daily and look at our projections and see where we might go, because we said if we get above 2209, 2209 is now support, and we're going to go to 2646. I was a little bit worried that 2209 might be it. So it's really good to see it break above it, because I can count 5 waves up now from this low, potentially. So yeah, set your target for 26.46. Okay. It's 10 o'clock. I'm just gonna do a couple. So IOTA US dollar tether on Binance looks like a massive inverted head and shoulders. Let's take a look. I love inverted head and shoulders. So IOTA US dollar tether. Oh yeah. What I really like about this one is this move today has taken us above this 236 fib resistance. So let's hide this for a second. Okay, zoom out. So from this high to this low, this 236 fib level was a resistance. It's where we closed last week and we couldn't get above it. And now we've pulled back, retested it for support. Look, this is what I mean about get above a level, hold it as support, and we've absolutely launched today. So now, what about this? Like, if you've got massive FOMO, you want to get in on this. How are you going to get in on this? Well, you need these big. See, when you have a big green candlestick like this, if you go back, look at what happens. So here's a good example of one, isn't it? Big up day. Where would have been the most likely candle the following day is a little inside bar. And if you put your buy order 50% back of this big green candle, that's a really good place to get filled. If you had done it here, you would have had a really nice continuation. Here, let's mark where 50% back of this nice big green reversal candle is. It's a little bit now. You would have got filled at a really nice place, retested twice, up you go. Now, when you do that, you put your stop underneath the low. So here, in fact, we spiked all the way down, but we didn't break the low, did we? In this one, 50% back, put your stop under the close, and so on. In this one, sometimes it takes a couple of days, believe me, but this works. So if you had put your, sometimes that's these levels are where you come back to. So let's take that away. If we had put, see this big green up candle here, if we had put our order 50% back, stop under the low, we get filled, up we go. I would say once you make a new high, you need to move your stop up so you don't get broken. And these levels, believe it or not, do you get retested. Now, so that means this 50% one here never got done, did it? That's a potential. I don't think we're coming back for that one though. But here, this is where I would be looking if we get lucky in IOTA. Okay, but they don't hang around long when they come back. Link, US dollar. I didn't do Link tonight. I can't believe. Really? How is that possible that we've had a week without Link? It cannot be. No way. Link, US dollar. We're going to start on the weekly. Now, I've got a few levels in this one. I feel like Link is if this was our big correction, 1, 2, 3, and we're in a big wave 4, but it's not quite clear because let me just clean up a few things. Let's hide all of these things. There's a lot of things that make me nervous about this link chart, right? And when you're in, it's like if this is, when you're looking at a trend move, the moves don't tend to overlap. And when I look at this, look how this overlaps. This is a little bit, is this corrective? So it feels like this might be a big A, and because link is so bullish, and we might see another B, you know, we've gone B, and we might see another C before we carry on, you know? And so I feel like link is at a little bit of resistance and a little bit of a risk, I have to say, of a bigger move lower. Now, I hate to say it, that doesn't mean I would short it. It's in an uptrend, and it doesn't mean that I would sell my link position if I had one, because it's going up. What's not to like? But the shape of it and how it's performing just make me a little bit nervous here that this is a rising wedge and that we need to see a bigger pullback before we go up again. So do I think that link US dollar is the best buy out there? No. But if you've already got some, carry on. Move your stop up, protect your gains, and hang on. Because it could just keep going. But it just doesn't look like a great new buy to me at the moment. I may be wrong. Now, if we lose these lows here, so while we're in a trend, as long as we, you know, keep making higher highs and higher lows, we're all fine. So if we lose these lows here in this 20 moving average, that would suggest a bigger correction, wouldn't it? But for now, as long as we don't, we're still going up. Happy days, keep going, okay? I'm honestly, I'm gonna stop here. I'm really sorry. If you'd like me to do something next week, send me a message. I can see in my group somebody's asked for some stocks. Let me just click on them. Just trying to catch up. If you're in my group and you've asked for some stock tickers, I will get to them for you. Sorry, I just didn't get to them tonight. Okay, good night, everyone. See you next week. So watch out. Like, I think the so to just summarize for Bitcoin and ETH, I think we've got more upside, and I don't really see any danger of reversal or a pullback in Bitcoin until we get to 47,500. In ETH, however, 1782 could be proved to be a little bit of a sticky level, and we could see a little bit more of a pullback from there. Ethereum Classic, yes, you did ask for that earlier, didn't you? Let's first off.
I don't know what you mean by. Hey Siri,
I'm not talking to you,
How about
Siri.
a web search for it?
No, Siri, no. Okay. Weekly. Here we go. Sorry. Max. So, what if this was a big wedge and we're looking at a bit of a breakout? We keep having a false breakout, wouldn't it? I keep going like this. Now, the other thing that this pattern says to me, if I put regular candles on, is what if this is a big A, B, C, and because it keeps moving like that. And if I go from this low like this, you know, this kind of has that ABC look, doesn't it? Now, I'm going to go from there, even though I think I should. So, it's just repeated corrective patterns in this Ethereum Classic. So if that's the case, we've done we've done 3 down, now we've done 3 up. We're looking at 3 down. So we've had the first leg down, we're going to see a rally, and then another leg down. We could reverse engineer it a bit in Ethereum Classic, like this. And say if we put back to the lows, potentially we're going to rally from here all the way to 12. So if you've got some Ethereum Classic, okay, first off, I think there's some resistance to come around 9.5, which is where these highs are as well. But if we get to 12 and then roll over again, time to get out on that's my big picture view of this. Now, all of these moving averages are underneath us, and I could be wrong. And we've gotten above them, pulled back, found support. If you really like Ethereum Classic for some reason, then fundamental reason, go ahead and buy it. But technically, it just makes me a little nervous. And when I see a rally, I want to see it look impulsive when it goes. And here, if I go down to the 4 hour off the lows, look, and I haven't quite measured it right. Low to high to here, stopped at the equal measured move, come back. I still think that this, we're doing these ABCs, and they make me a little bit all corrective. So this is not a new upswing for Ethereum Classic because we did this. I think we're going to do this before we go up again, and then eventually, end up somewhere around 12. So watch out for a bigger pullback, a rally to 12, and then I would say time to get out if you've got some. Okay. Angry men. I'm so over angry men. Let's not do that. Okay, everyone. Good night. Good luck. One more like, apparently, and that gets me over a line. So if you enjoyed it, thank you. See you next week.